Welcome to Fuck Your Opinion, and this is my review of Wonder Woman 1984, also WW84, I guess. Anyways, I am so mad. I'm so mad that I had to say fuck this movie. So that's my opinion right off the gate. Fuck this movie. I did not care for it. It's not that I didn't care for it. It's that I legitimately hate this movie. And you have to understand that I absolutely love the first Wonder Woman. It's one of my favorite action movies in the past 5 years. You can just listen to our podcast that we did a couple months ago about Wonder Woman that I'll link in the description. But needless to say, I fucking love Wonder Woman. That was such a great and amazing and fantastic film. I could not have been more excited for this one. I mean, as soon as it was announced, I'm like, hell yeah, yeah, Wonder Woman. And then when they said it was going to be set in the 80s, my heart skipped a beat. I was like, because I love all things 80s. But no. And then Pedro Pascal got out of the cast. I adore Pedro Pascal. Kristen Wiig got added. Again, I love Kristen Wiig. Everything about this movie should work. The first trailer with Blue Monday blew me away because it was the use of the song. It was the use of really everything in that trailer. The car, the desert car chase action scene resembled Raiders of the Lost Ark. And also, I don't know why, but I just absolutely love action scenes where a character is going vehicle to vehicle. I love them so much. So you have all that. Also, Pedro Pascal's villain, who is this business guy, this evil, conniving businessman who has a duplicitous nature. He's charming to everybody else, but on the inside, he really is a piece of shit who's conniving his way and really outsmarting everybody and just horrible. It's literally everything I wanted in a movie. I need to stress. Also, the and I get into this with my co-host Yanni on the previous Wonder Woman. The third act climax fight of the last movie sucked, and we both wanted something else. And this movie does something else. Again, everything I wanted, and yet everything that it does, it consistently fumbles the landing and just screws it up. There's nothing. I really needed that. Hell, look at my shirt. Look. I got. I took out this fanny pack in excitement. I I was wearing this fanny pack as I was watching this movie, and then I took it off. I unclicked the fanny pack and I took it off because I said to myself, this movie, it just doesn't deserve my fanny pack. God, they brought back Chris Pine. I love Chris Pine. So I don't really know where to start with why in particular I dislike this movie. I'll just go from the beginning. So we start with this Olympic Games style thing in Themyscira, and I hated it. I thought it was awful. The logistics didn't really make any sense, and contrasting with the first movie, it just wasn't nearly as satisfying. And then Diana cheats, quote unquote cheats, and then Robin Wright rips her away and says you can't cheat, essentially. which is a really on the nose way of stating the theme that, in all honesty, the movie doesn't even really do that theme justice. It's kind of side skirting it the whole time. Anyways, point is, really hate how it handled the theme. I hate the logistics of riding the horse and hitting the arrows or shooting the arrows, because it's just kind of a little too improbable that they all can hit those specific color shots every time. It's too much, guys. It's too much. I couldn't even suspend my disbelief. And Diana wasn't even really cheating. She was barely cheating. It's not like she was so deliberate about it. She had to fucking finish her race. I mean, what the hell is she going to do to say, oh, guys, I give up. I quit. I mean, then the messages should be, well, Diana, why are you such a fucking quitter? You got to never give up. Never surrender. I mean, that's another admirable theme, but the movie is just like, nope, you're a fucking cheater. No, she's not. She didn't deliberately sabotage the other. But I'm focusing too much on this stupid opening scene that's not even good. Because then we have other things that happen. We have we go to modern day 1984. Diana is kind of like the Spider-Man, I want to say Spider-Man 2 is what he does, where we have like a montage of the hero doing their superhero things. Here's the thing, guys. Another thing I absolutely love, I generally don't like origin stories all that much, but I love sequels, and I love the sequel where you have the hero in action, like the opening montage, or like being reintroduced to a character and they're kicking ass and taking names. I almost always love those scenes. And you know what? I can't tell you why, but, well, I can get into a little specifics, but in general, it felt so lifeless to me. It was not working. It did not click. I mean, if I want to get into nitty-gritty specifics, the logistics of how she was finding and saving everybody and some of the shot choice and all that kind of stuff didn't really work for me. But I don't want to say, oh man, that's why I think it's crap. That's you can kind of screw that up and I still will kind of like it. I don't know why. It just was not clicking and it aggravated me so much. Then we get to the mall scene, and another shot in the trailer. I was like, I love malls. I love 80s malls. I love action scenes. Come on, bring it on. This is going to be great. And I'm not going to take another drink because, the thieves, the bad guys were just such morons. One of them just drops his gun, and that starts the whole thing, and then Wonder Woman is just there. I don't know how Wonder Woman is getting and figuring out these things so quickly. It's kind of unbelievable. They try and explain it later on where she's like watching all these TVs and everything. But she's not Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man, here's the thing. Spider-Man makes more sense because New York is far more condensed. He's able to get around quicker. He has a spidey sense. It all personally makes a whole lot more sense. Where they're trying to do that, but I just don't know how she's figuring out all these things. And it's just the saves and the heroic actions she does are not even that cool or satisfying. They're just whatever. So going back to this mall scene, Klutz just drops his gun and then takes a kid hostage and is like, I'm going to drop this girl. As one does, and then Wonder Woman saves the day, while the other criminals are like, stop doing that. Don't drop her. Don't drop her. You think they'd get on the same page. It's like, imagine the bad guys in Heat, but if those are the A-level, like, thieves, these are like, not the B level, not the C level. I don't want to say F level, because they do manage to actually steal the stuff. So I'd say D level. They are D level thieves. They are the worst. They pose literally no match to Diana, which, to be fair, they don't need to pose a match. This scene is meant to be Diana's kicking ass. She's taking names. I love it. But there's just something that felt off. I don't know. Anyways, fast forward to introduction to Dr. Barbara Minerva, aka Kristen Wiig. Like I stated earlier, I love Kristen Wiig, one of the all-time best SNL cast members. Yeah, I mean, I love almost everything she does. So I'll admit I was skeptical of her being in this movie, but I'm like, okay, you know what? Patty Jenkins, you did such a good job in the first movie that I trust you. I trust that this decision is the right decision. And I don't blame Kristen Wiig, but I thought it was absolutely horrendous because her quirky, self-conscious, shy, nerdy girl was just such overkill. It was so over the top. Oh my, it's just like every time she uttered a sentence, it was like, everyone hates me. I can't, why can't I just be like you, Diana? Nobody likes me. Every time. And it's never cute. It's never funny. It's not that it necessarily needs to be. You can totally have Kristen Wiig playing a straight character. That's fine. It's just, you're beating us on the head with this idea that's so forced and way too much. I mean, even her very introduction, you have she gets knocked down, or I think she falls, drops some papers, and then some guys past her. She asks for help. They ignore her, which I don't know how you can be that much of a douche and just not help her whatsoever. That's like, come on, guys. Also, you're working at the Smithsonian and they look like frat bros. How are frat bros working at the Smithsonian? In what world? And yeah, you're going to help your coworker. You're just going to help them. You're not going to shrug them off. And then later, the supervisor or HR lady, I'm unclear who she is, but essentially, she forgets that who Barbara is. And Barbara's like, you literally just hired me a week ago. How in the world do you not remember the person you just hired? How many hires are you doing in a week's time? I mean, if you're making this selection, and she's not like janitor level. She seems to be pretty high level, that the fact that Maxwell Lord is asking for her. So she's higher level. You are going to know who she is. So to have these like, oh, nobody knows me, nobody cares about me, things that are just so forced and not earnestly baked into the character. I like the concepts. I like the ideas. I think that's a very compelling idea. But it's just not executed well. And going on that point later on when Maxwell Lord is like, oh, hey, Barbara Minerva. And, supervisor comes in. Maxwell Lord requested you. He loves your work so much. You're the best. Like, didn't you just state 10 minutes ago that you had no idea who the fuck this bitch was? I mean, what? What? Patty Jenkins! Guys, this makes me, I can't, it makes me so sad. I fucking love Wonder Woman so much. The year it came out, I said it was my favorite film of the year. Okay, one thing I liked was when Wonder Woman Diana walks into the gala that Maxwell Lord is hosting, and they have the Frankie Goes to Hollywood song. I really like that bit. I think it could have been shot a bit better, but I like the song and how it was used. So good job using a 1980 song, Wonder Woman, 1984. Good job. Huh. But then it kind of just like takes that and just shoots it in the head because, oh God, so many like bumbles right here. So we got Pedro Pascal reintroduced himself to Barbara Minerva, and I'll get to Pedro Pascal in a bit. He reintroduces himself to her in such a bumbly way that just is disingenuous and just not. It feels forced for both their characters. Then he's like, "Hey, you want to go to your office? Hook up." She's like, "Yeah, let's do that." So they go to her office. They start kissing. He grabs. This is. I didn't even mention. This is all over some kind of dream stone, which you hold the stone. You wish for something. You get what you wish for, right? So he grabs the stone and kind of steals it while he's kissing her, right? Okay, makes sense. 10 minutes later, Diana calls Kristen Wiig and goes into her office and is like, "Yo, I need that dreamstone. Where's the dreamstone?" And Kristen Wiig is like, "Yo, I gave it to Pedro Pascal. He's like such a big donor. Why can't I just, give rare antiquities to the guy?" Which, A, obviously you shouldn't. B, but didn't he just steal it? I mean, I know this movie went through reshoots, so is this one of those things that got reshot and just logistically Warner Brothers said, fuck it. They won't notice or they won't care. It's just little thing. That's the problem with this movie. It's those little things consistently throughout this movie that just boggle my mind that you can just mess up consistently. Also, let's go to villains now. So you got Pedro Pascal, who I love Pedro Pascal. I think he does a good job with what he is given in this movie. But his role is far too big. He's kind of an idiot just wandering around being like, let me get the wishes. So essentially he turns himself into this wish stone and is like, hey, let's grant some wishes so I can get superpowers and, rule the world kind of shit. Which I guess that's a fine idea. But you would think as a businessman, he'd be a smarter guy. And also, he's just not a good foil to Diana because he's just never a foil. I mean, I was rewatching recently Die Hard. I love Die Hard. You want to know why I love Die Hard? Because John McClane and Hans Gruber are constantly in a game of chess, going back and forth, back and forth. With this movie, it's like you have Diana, Pedro Pascal, and Kristen Wiig all in diverging paths, doing their own thing, and like intersecting here and there, but not in a combative kind of way until they're like at the end. It's not. You would think Pedro Pascal would be like a Lex Luthor, where it's a game of wits between him and Diana, but it's not. It's just not. He's a wasted character. He's just so wasted. And also personally, him being like decrepit while he's granting these wishes, he's hurting his body. I didn't like that. I didn't think that was interesting. I didn't like that bit of his performance, but whatever. I understand why they were doing that thematically. Kristen Wiig also has, I was complaining about her in the beginning. My God, if I know I hated her in the beginning, but then when she basically wishes to be like Diana, gets Diana's powers, doesn't address with Diana that, hey, I didn't know you were a superhero. You're a superhero? Wow. She's like, oh, I guess I got superpowers now. Wow, I wonder how I got that. Duh. Don't even address that. I feel like there's a deleted scene somewhere that gets talked about. But anyways, as soon as she gets these powers, she goes like nuts. She's just like, I'm gonna murder people. I am evil. And that's it. Like, it's a totally different person. Not I again, I do not blame Kristen Wiig. It's the writing's not there. I just thought it's there is a very clear line. I think there's this one scene where she's doing some research, and then she goes running. She gets what she needs, goes running, and finds this guy who was catcalling her earlier. And it's at this scene where she's just like flipped, as a totally different character. And it might have been another earlier scene, but point is, it doesn't feel gradual and natural. It's just, we're there, guys. She's bad now. I I would rather have less time if you're not gonna bother using your time well. God. Oh my god, I haven't even talked about Chris Pine. I love Chris Pine, and I haven't even talked about him. What can I say? Well, another thing that I thought, man, Steve Trevor being a guy out of time, perfect. Exactly what I wanted to see in this movie. Can't go wrong. And I was wrong. His introduction, totally fucked up. He just kind of comes back because Diana wishes it. He's like, oh, he's back. I think in retrospect, it was interesting how they did that. But in the moment, because I knew there was multiple possibilities how they could have done it, I was just telling myself, this is the most confusing and least satisfying way to bring him back. And then him being back, he's just not nearly as charming as he usually is. And I don't think that's necessarily a slight on him. It's just he doesn't really get a ton to work with. I mean, it's really just, hey, can you be an old guy going, wow, the present day sure is weird, guys. Man, parachute pants. How about that? That's his character. That's all he really does. It's really frustrating. Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman. Again, better in the first movie. She was fine. I don't really have a whole lot to say about her, which is weird considering, it's her movie, but whatever. The action. There's not a whole lot of action. Cheetah fight at the end fucking sucks. The car fight in the middle, again, obviously inspired by Raiders. Okay. I thought it was all right. I thought it was decently shot with some hiccups here and there. For example, when she falls onto Pedro Pascal's car, I feel like there was a shot missing because she was just kind of fucking there after being in the air. Neither here nor there. Point is, I just don't think it. I think it was like a 6 or a 7, where they had the elements that could have so easily propelled it to an 8 or a 9. Yeah, it was just not. And the thing is, I was so taken out by the movie at that point that it just wasn't nearly as satisfying. And I don't know, maybe it's because Patty Jenkins went in with a directive, I don't want anyone to die in this movie. And I understand that. I admire that. I think that's a really good thing to go in. I mean, I really like the moment during the White House fight scene, which is actually, I'd say, the best fight scene, the only one I really liked, where Steve takes out a gun and is about to start shooting people. And Diana's like, no, we can't do that. They don't know what they're doing, or they're not in control, right? I really liked that bit. It was more nuanced than I thought I was going to get from that scene. And the fight overall was good. So I like Patty's directive. It's just, that going back to that car chase scene, because of that, you don't have the level of action that you need in that scene, and therefore it's just not as interesting. And God, this movie, if I had to make equivalents, it's like Kingsman or or the first Star Trek movie, again with Chris Pine, and the sequel of Kingsman also with Pedro Pascal, where I loved the first one so much. I love Star Trek 2009. Love it so much. I love the first Kingsman. I love it so fucking much. And then the sequels just, they're like, okay, we got into the universe. What do we do now? And the sequels just do not know where to really go or what to do. I think this movie is confused like Kingsman 2, where Kingsman 2 just had too many ideas and kind of just threw them all in there. But Kingsman 2, I think more of its ideas hit. More of the action in particular I thought was still really good in Kingsman, and I still had a decent enough time in that movie, where this movie, just everything about it was just so disappointing. So disappointing. I mean, if you listen to our podcast, you know my co-host Yanni, I was texting him throughout the movie, and I just was so sad. I was so heartbroken by how much this movie sucked, and he was just gleefully just like, oh, I told you so. And yeah, I don't know. I've been rambling on. This movie is a stinker. I'm sure some of you will agree, some of you will disagree. Either way, fuck your opinion. In the meantime, be sure to listen to our podcast. Again, linked in the description below. And I'm going to continue to do some video reviews as we continue to expand.